In last class, we have studied about Mesopotamian civilization. We have learnt about the extent, characteristics, contribution and decline of that civilization. In this video, you will learn about Egyptian civilization. In this video, we will going to cover following points. Influence of River Nile on the Egyptian civilization. The advancements made by the Egyptians in the field of architecture. The Egyptian civilization is one of the earliest and most interesting of the world's ancient civilizations. It was famous for its pharaohs, mummies and pyramids. Life in extant Egypt began over 5,000 years ago. Starting from around 3100 BCE till the death of its last ruler, Queen Cleopatra in 30 BCE. Egypt is located in the eastern part of Sahara Desert in North Africa. It developed on the bank of River Nile. Except for the narrow strip of fertile land along the banks of the Nile, the rest of the Egypt was a desert. The advantage of this was it protected Egypt from foreign invasions. The deserts were rich in mineral deposits. The Egyptians used metals to make tools, and these tools enabled them to quarry and shape huge blocks of limestone and granites into a beautiful statues, temples and pyramids. Now let's see the map of Egyptian civilization. This is the map of ancient Egypt. The Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea is here, the Lower Egypt, the Upper Egypt, and this part is the ancient Egypt. This is the river Nile. Nile was the key to the foundation and survival of the Egyptian civilization. The Greek historian Herodotus has rightly called Egypt the gift of the Nile. The river was the source of life for Egypt. The annual floods deposited rich, black fertile soil on the banks of the river. The farmers grew wheat, barley, fruits and vegetables. The water from the Nile was used for irrigation. The Egyptians constructed elaborate system of canals, dams, dikes and reservoirs built to control the flow of water to the fields. The river was used for transporting goods across the length and breadth of the country. Features of Egyptian civilization. Time period of different kingdoms. The Egyptian history has been divided into several periods known as kingdoms. These periods represented stability in the Egyptian civilization. They were separated by periods called the intermediate period. In ancient Egypt, the king was known as pharaoh. The history of Egypt can be broadly divided into the following periods: the early dynastic period, the old kingdom, the middle kingdom, the new kingdom. In different kingdoms, different kings and queens were there. The kings were called pharaohs. The Egyptian civilization began around 3100 BCE with upper and lower region of Egypt. The first king was Menes. The civilization divided in these periods: the early dynastic period, the old kingdom, the middle kingdom and the new kingdom. Now, society. The Egyptian society was divided into three classes. The upper class comprised the pharaoh and the members of the royal family, rich landowners, priests, and high government officials. The pharaoh had all the powers and was considered as God on earth. The middle class comprised merchants, manufacturers, artisans. The lower class comprised farmers and laborers. The slaves were at the lowest level of the society. They were mostly prisoners of war. As we seen, Egyptian was divided into four classes: upper, middle, and lower. Pharaoh, landowners, members of royal family, priests belong to upper class. Merchants, artisans belong to middle class, and farmers and laborers in lower class. The slaves belong at the lowest level. In this way, society was divided into different classes. Family life. The members lived in a big joint family. The elderly were well respected. The eldest male member, the father, was the head of the family. Women were respected and treated equally with men. They could also inherit property. Girls would learn housekeeping skills from their mothers, while the boys would follow in their father's footsteps at an early age, either working in agriculture or learning about trade. People used to live in a joint family. Elder people were respected by the members of the family. In Mesopotamian, we have seen more importance were given to male, but in Egyptian civilization, both were equally treated, men as well as women. Girls took training from their mothers in household work while boys followed their father's footsteps. Administration. The administrative structure included the pharaoh, a number of officials and priests. The pharaoh was at the top of the administration. Pharaoh. The pharaoh was the powerful king. He was the head of the state as well as the chief priest. Kingship was hereditary. Officials. The pharaoh was assisted by the officials who looked after administration and collected taxes. Provinces. For the convenience of administration, the country was divided into nomes. These provinces were placed under officials called monarchs. Public works. People works such as construction of dams and canals were carried out by the state. Irrigation was also a state responsibility. As we have already seen, the king was called pharaoh in Egyptian civilization and had all the powers. He was the head of the state. After the death of king, his son took place of the king. The officials helped pharaoh in administration and collect tax. Public works were also done by states. Food. Barley and wheat were the main cereal crops produced by the ancient Egyptians. The vegetables that they grew were beans, lentils, onions, cucumbers, and lettuces. They grew fruits such as grapes, figs, and pomegranates. Eggs, milk products were also consumed. Egyptians mainly produced wheat and barley. Fruits and vegetables were also produced by Egyptians. Dress. The Egyptians generally wore light clothes because of the hot climate. Men wore loincloths and women wore long, tight-fitting dresses with straps. Both men and women loved ornaments and cosmetics. Necklaces, earrings, bangles, and rings were some popular ornaments. It was customary for both men and women to wear wigs, makeup, and scented oil. Now, dresses. Generally, they wore light cloths because of hot climate. Men wore loincloths and women wore long, tight-fitting dresses. Now, occupations. The main occupation of Egyptians are agriculture was the main occupation of the Egyptians. The fertile Nile Valley and irrigation system enabled them to grow a wide variety of crops all throughout the year. Some important professions besides agriculture were fishing, poultry, carpentry, masonry, wool, and weaving. Domestication of animals such as cows, sheep, goats, camel, donkeys, and pigs were also practiced. Most of the people were engaged in irrigation. It was their main occupation. Some other professions were fishing, carpentry, masonry, etc. Domestication of animals were also done by some people during the Egyptian period. Now, trade and commerce. Egypt was one of the wealthiest countries in the ancient world. The Egyptians carried out both inland and foreign trade. Trade was controlled by the pharaohs. It was done in the form of barter system. The medium of exchange was grain, silver, and copper. Some items imported by the Egyptians were cedar wood from Lebanon, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, ebony and ivory from Central Africa, silver and bronze from Syria, linen, wheat, ornaments and furniture were exported to other regions. Trade was done in the form of barter system and it was controlled by Pharaoh. Some items they import from other countries and some exports to other countries. Now, houses. The ancient Egyptian houses had some unique features that you can see in this picture. Houses were made of mud bricks dried in the sun. They had airy rooms with tiny windows to avoid the heat of the sun. They were whitewashed to seal the walls and reflect heat. The houses of the more wealthy people had bigger rooms, decoratively painted, and often had courtyard gardens. Houses were made from mud. They had airy rooms and windows. Wealthy people had more bigger and decorated rooms and a courtyard. Whitewashed helped to reflect heat. Recreational activities. All the members of the Egyptian society enjoyed some form of recreational activity. People were fond of sports such as swimming, hunting, and fishing. The pharaohs would hunt dangerous animals such as hippos, crocodiles, and lions to prove their power. Boat races were held along the Nile for people. Gymnastic, long jump, high jump, wrestling, weightlifting, and board games. Dance, music, and participation in religious festivities were other forms of entertainment. Children played with clay balls, leather balls, dolls, and animal toys. People were enjoyed other activities like swimming, fishing, hunting, etc. They did boat race. Dance, music were also done by them. Children played with clay balls, dolls, and animals' toys. Now, religion and belief systems. Mummies. The Egyptians firmly believed in life after death. They preserved the body of dead by embalming it with some chemicals. The mummies were buried along with articles of daily use. The pharaohs were buried along with food, wine, furniture, jewelry, and weapons in the pyramids. Egyptians believed life after death. That's why with the mummies they kept articles of daily use. With pharaoh they kept food, wine, jewelry, and weapons. Worship. Egyptians worshipped various animals. Their main gods were Ra, the son of God, Horus, god of the sky, and Osiris, the god of the dead. Animals such as jackal, bull, and crocodile were also worshipped. Temples were built in honor of their gods. Each god had their own temple and priest. The Egyptians also worshipped Pharaoh as gods. They worshipped gods Ra, Horus, Osiris. They worshipped some animals also like jackal, bull, etc. They also worshipped Pharaoh as gods. In this video, we have seen the influence of River Nile on Egyptian civilization and features of Egyptian civilization. In next video, we will see the achievements of Egyptian civilization. Have a nice day. Stay home, stay safe.